Modern day NASCAR, baby. You can run outside the top 10 in the standings for all season, but if you catch, lightning in a bottle at the right time, you get a chance to race for a championship. And I did not think I would be saying Joey Logano is going to make the championship race, but he did. He made the championship race, and cue the complaints. It's been 10 years now with this version of the playoffs, but cue the debate now of, well, Joey Logano deserves it because he won in the most important round, and then the other side will be,
he was trash all season. He doesn't deserve to have a chance to win a championship. And
it makes it even funnier that he was actually eliminated at the time of the checkered flag. And even an hour after the checkered flag last week, he was eliminated. But no, because the 48 team of Alex Bowman, who, by the way, ran very well today and finished with a top 5, who should have been in Logano's spot in the round of 8, because he got DQ'd last week, Logano gets to take over that spot, and now he's the first one. Not Kyle Larson, not Tyler Reddick, not Christopher Bell, not Denny Hamlin, not Ryan Blaney, his teammate, who has been better than him all season long. Ryan Blaney has been better than Logano all season, without a doubt. But it was Ryan Blaney in the final 10 laps of that race that helped Joey Logano win and advance into the championship race, which even actually nailed another, piece into the coffin for Ryan Blaney's hopes of making the championship race, because that is a guy completely out of the blue in a spot that now you are in a must-win situation. Well, he was in a must-win situation anyways, which is probably why he helped anyways, but still, that was very funny to watch. But Ryan Blaney is an amazing teammate, and that is basically the gist of what happened at Vegas. We'll talk about it more in detail, but what are your guys' opinions right off the bat? I mean, I'm in shock. I can't believe he won that race. I was thinking, oh, maybe Suarez is going to save enough fuel, but nope. Once I saw Ryan Blaney behind Logano, I was like, okay, it's not going to be Suarez. It's going to be Logano, and will Bell be able to catch him? And luckily, Logano and his team did it on the lap. If there was one more lap in this race, Joey Logano would have not won this race. But in a weird way, the dice was rolled, and Doctor Strange said there's 14 million scenarios and the Avengers only win one of them. Well, this felt like one of those situations where there's 14 million scenarios in this race, and Joey Logano winning it was the one out of 14 million, especially at the beginning of the final stage where Logano fell outside the top 10. It was not running all that well, which opened up this strategy to take a gamble on fuel mileage, and it worked out perfectly for him. Just crazy to think about. And overall, the race, as a race, it was good, entertaining. I don't have any issues with the next-gen car at mile-and-a-half tracks. We know that. It's a very good race car to race, and Las Vegas is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated racetracks on the circuit right now. It's aged beautifully, and it is a fantastic mile-and-a-half. All the mile-and-a-halves seem to be in a very good age, like Kansas and Las Vegas, Charlotte, even though Charlotte's like a different type of asphalt, but Charlotte is aging, Texas is still Texas. We don't talk about that. Homestead, of course, is so like the mile-and-a-half racetracks right now are in a very, very beautiful scenario in terms of the racetrack, in terms of the age of the asphalt and how good of a race you can have. And it was a great race. It was entertaining. Christopher Bell kind of stunk up the show a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. He led over 150 laps today, so there was not really many battles for the lead because Christopher Bell and that 20 team were amazing, but that was not a surprise. We knew that coming in here. I've been very confident in Christopher Bell. I've pretty much already, in my mind, locked Bell and Larson into the championship race. So those two for me were guarantees. I mean, Christopher Bell, I think heading into this race, or it was heading into the last race, I'm not sure which one it was, but his average finish was like 6th. That was his average finish in the playoffs. I mean, it was 5 positions better than anybody else. So he was doing incredibly well, and he got a lot of stage points today. He had the fastest car. He was going for the win. It didn't really work out that way. But let's go to the beginning of the race, and let's talk about, because there were half of the playoff guys basically had trouble, and this was a very interesting way to see how this race would go. If this race was straightforward, I thought my final 4 were great, except maybe Denny Hamlin. But Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson. That was my final 4 that I thought were going to make it. And heading into this race, stage 1, I was like, okay, we're looking pretty good. Larson's looking competitive. Bell and Reddick seem to have the 2 fastest cars. Denny Hamlin is surviving in the top 10, and I thought, all right, everything should go to plan here. And then things did not go to plan. A massive crash involving Austin Dillon. Daniel Hemrick was trying to make a move into turn 3, and when you can kind of dive bomb turn 3 in this race car. So you turn left, you try to dive bomb the corner, stick it on the white line, and then race whoever's on your outside. Well, Dillon went for the block, and Hemrick didn't lift, and next thing you know, Hemrick just basically went right into Dillon, basically full throttled. I mean, it wasn't intentional, obviously, but Hemrick is trying to make a dive bomb pass, as we've seen a lot of people make, and there was many onboards throughout the day. If you were following a driver, I don't know, on NASCAR.com on an onboard, you would see that was a move that a lot of drivers were making. They were just basically going full throttle into 3 and trying to hit this certain point before they actually had to lift and get on the brakes a little bit. And if you block it, then you block it. And so Austin Dillon blocked it, and Hemrick didn't care, and it sent Dillon straight into the outside wall, an extremely hard hit. And luckily he was okay. Probably obviously not very happy with Daniel Hemrick. However, that caution changed the majority of this race. Like everything was going to plan. As the Joker said, when things are going to plan, nobody panics. Well, everything was going to plan. It seemed like it was going to be a nonchalant race. Ryan Blaney was making his way from the back after starting at the back. But that caution, because there were 16 laps to go at the time of the caution, it changed everything. Because then you had people come down pit road. You had people take 2 tires. You had people take 4 tires. You had non-playoff drivers taking 2 tires to go for, to be more aggressive, or certain drivers like Denny Hamlin or Ryan Blaney taking 2 tires, whoever it might be, trying to get stage points, whereas Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, they decided to take 4 tires. Now they fall back a little bit, and so this all basically messes up the end of stage 1. It goes all crazy. Christopher Bell, who was leading the majority of the race, does not win stage 1. Actually, that's Tyler Reddick who wins stage 1. And he also took 4 tires in that stop. He was able to drive all the way through. But then you have the stage caution. And so the stage caution comes, and again, you have more strategy. Chase Elliott decides to take 2 tires, while Bell and Larson and Reddick, they decided to take 4 tires. So again, it's just that one Austin Dillon caution changed everything, because it just looked like it was all going to plan, and then the strategy really got into play. And when all this happened, that is what caused the big incident. The big incident between Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski was involved, and Ryan Blaney at the very tail end was also involved, because Keselowski was coming up the racetrack and he didn't have time to react, and he had to slam his car into the wall and break a right rear toe link. Martin Truex Jr. and Chase Elliott were side by side. They were expecting it to be too wide. Truex starts sliding up the track. Elliott is trying to keep him on the bottom. Tyler Reddick sees a gap on the 3rd lane on the outside. He tries making a move, but Truex and Elliott both were already committed to a car not being to the outside of Elliott. So once Reddick gets to the outside, again, he's on 4 fresh tires, Elliott is on 2. Once Truex gets, starts sliding up a little bit, and he's kind of forcing Elliott to go by the wall, which is normal because Truex is under the assumption that no one is going to be to the outside of Chase Elliott. Well, Chase Elliott sees at the last second that Tyler Reddick is coming around the outside. Elliott tries. I mean, he looks like he genuinely gets on the brakes, but Truex is already forcing him up. Reddick has already filled the gap. 3 cars on a line where you're only going to the wall as you're racing 2, it's not going to work, and that throws Elliott around. It throws Reddick into the wall, spins him out, and then it flips Tyler Reddick. Very odd seeing a car flip in kind of slow motion, but he hops onto the little Legends course on the infield, the little gap in the grass. He hops it, and then it kind of just flipped the car because of it. And I think he broke the left front suspension. That's what caused. I think even if he didn't flip, I think you saw the left front, like the left front suspension was just dangling. It was all over the place. So I don't even think it mattered if he flipped. I think when he hit the wall and then he slid through the grass, and the jump from the grass, it broke the left front suspension. He was out of the race. Chase Elliott suffered damage. He had to go. He wasn't out of the race, but he had to go to the garage. Was 27 laps down. And Ryan Blaney also pretty much out of the race with hitting the wall pretty hard, damaged the toe link. They tried fixing that, but again, the car just was nowhere near. It was completely still destroyed. So that means 3 playoff guys. Reddick, who's one of the favorites and had a very fast car today. Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney, the two, you would say, underdogs of the round of 8 compared to the rest of the field, and they are all out. And that means then there's 5, guys that are battling out without any issues for the day until pit stops. Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin with just bad pit stops all day long, and Kyle Larson with one very bad pit stop that put him 2 laps down, and it took until the final stage and a caution to help to get him back on the lead lap. But in the final stage, once he got back on the lead lap, there was not another caution to help him out, so Larson doesn't even get back to the top 10. I think he finished in 11th, but we'll talk about that when we get to the playoff standings, because for Larson, it's not a very big deal. He's still fine as long as he didn't DNF. That's what we said. Larson, don't DNF in the first race. You'll be okay. He didn't DNF. He didn't even really get any stage points, but he didn't DNF. So, hey, it's still okay. And to be fair, Denny Hamlin battled back to a top 10, and he didn't really have that great of a car. Again, that is because strategy. So strategy came up towards the end of this race. The final fuel run fell perfectly to where you might be able to make it on fuel, but you will have to save. William Byron was running really well in that final stint. He was chasing the leader of the race, Christopher Bell, and then people start pitting. And it's like, okay, well, if I pit now and tire wear is a thing, and obviously with the next gen car, it's only like a 9.5 second pit stop. If I pit now, can I make up the time? And so all the strategy guys, the teams, the analytic guys, they're punching in the numbers like, okay, well, calculate lap times over this course of period. Will saving fuel and older tires be better than staying out? And basically, from what it sounded like is that Christopher Bell, his crew chief Adam Stevens, most likely probably wanted to stay out. If this wasn't a round of 8, if this wasn't late in the playoffs, obviously racing against your opponents, I'd probably guess Christopher Bell stays out. However, because basically all the other playoff drivers didn't want to take too much of a risk, except for, Logano and Denny Hamlin, who were not running in the top 10 at the time. Denny Hamlin was running where Kyle Larson, even behind where Kyle Larson was, and Joey Logano was running outside the top 10. Well, William Byron comes down pit road. Christopher Bell, Adam Stevens, they're looking at William Byron. That's who we're racing against. Bowman also decides to come down pit lane. So again, we got to race them for the win. So Christopher Bell also comes down pit lane. This opens the strategy gap for the guys that wanted to take the risk. For Daniel Suarez, who was running in the top 10 in that time, he decides, I'm going to go ahead and save a little bit of fuel and stay out. And Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin decide to do the same thing. Denny Hamlin gets top 10, but Joey Logano decides to do the same thing. And Fords, Penske with fuel mileage, they're the best at it. They get the best fuel mileage. So not only does Joey Logano not have to save as much fuel, he then also gets the help from Ryan Blaney behind. Christopher Bell is 30 seconds behind at the time he pits, and then he's able to make up all of that time, but it's just too little too late at the end. He basically comes up 1 lap short. Joey Logano wins the race with assistance from his teammate in Ryan Blaney. And again, do not downplay how big the assistance was, because for 10 laps Ryan Blaney was there, and it's not only passing Daniel Suarez, and it's not only about saving fuel. Look at the gap between Bell and Logano. That you can see just how much time Logano would gain on specifically the back straightaway. He'd gain 2/10 on the backstretch every single lap because Blaney was pushing him. So without Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano does not win this race. I promise you that right now. So Ryan Blaney plays a massive, massive part. So never underestimate teammates, never underestimate teamwork. Huge deal for Ryan Blaney. We saw it earlier with 23-11, I think with Bubba Wallace doing the same thing with Tyler Reddick earlier this year. So just a massive deal for Ryan Blaney to do that. And yeah, Logano wins. Let's go to the race results first. So it is Logano, Bell, Suarez, Byron, Bowman, Truex, Chastain, Hamlin, John Hunter Nemechek, Chris Buescher. Kyle Larson is in 11th, with then the playoff drivers that had trouble, obviously Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, 32nd, 33rd, and 35th. Tyler Reddick did win stage 1, so he got 10 stage points before he DNF'd. Chase Elliott did not get any stage points. Ryan Blaney also did not get any stage points, and they finished 32nd and 33rd. And so now let's go to the playoff standings. These playoff standings are very important. So you can see here there are already massive gaps. And why is that? It is because Joey Logano won. That is the reason why you have such a big gap in everyone. Obviously, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, DNS. But if Joey Logano did not win, Joey Logano would have been with, he would have been on that cutoff line. He would have been 4th. Reddick would have been I think it was probably like 15, 16 points behind if Joey Logano finished in the top 5, somewhere around there. So, you know, Reddick was there. He was there with a pretty good shot if Logano didn't win. Out of everybody here, you probably have to feel the worst for Tyler Reddick. He wins stage 1. He looks like he has a fast car. He DNFs, and for the majority of the race, the points as they run, it was like, well, I mean, Christopher Bell wins, it's fine. Larson wins, it's fine. Like, Denny Hamlin's struggling a little bit. Logano does not look like he's going to win. I might be going into Homestead at worst 20 points behind 4th. And that'll be 20 points behind Logano. I can make that up. Logano hasn't shown speed. I can make that up. But now he's 30 points behind William Byron. And that's not as confident, because William Byron will have more speed, obviously, than Logano the majority of the season. You also have to overtake Denny Hamlin. You have Kyle Larson, who's in there in 3rd at plus 35. So for Tyler Reddick, you go from still feeling like you can point your way in to now you are going to Homestead and you're like, I probably have to win. Yeah, I could dominate the race and win some stages, but you got a minimum run top 3 in both stages to get a lot of stage points. Because also, you know, Martinsville, we'll see how that goes, but Martinsville is not one of your better racetracks, so, you know, we'll see how that goes. But very big gaps. Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney, they are in must-win situations off the bat. It's not really a surprise. Chase Elliott, again, he would have had to be like consistent top 5 in my opinion to make it. And we said it last week. I said it. I don't view Chase Elliott as a championship contender this season. He has not shown the speed. They don't have the speed in that race car. So in my opinion, I'm kind of already writing off Elliott. I don't see him at all competing for the win at Homestead. I do not see that compared to his competitors. And then Martinsville is a track position race, and again, I just don't see it. Is it possible? Yes, but that 9 team has not shown speed at all. Ryan Blaney, again, he's going to have to win. Hey, his teammate won, Joey Logano, so it's possible, but he's in another must-win situation. Denny Hamlin finished in 8th today, but again, because Logano won, it's a bad day for Denny Hamlin being 27 behind William Byron. William Byron and Kyle Larson, they'll be like, okay, I mean, that's not a terrible day. And then Christopher Bell, obviously. This is the thing with Christopher Bell. He was likely to win this race. He most likely could have won this race. Obviously, he was in front contention. And I know it doesn't feel like this right now. Christopher Bell fans, hear me out. Christopher Bell's team, Christopher Bell himself, hear me out if you are listening to this. In the long run, this maybe sounds like overthinking it, because you just get yourself in the round of 4, right? Lock yourself in. But in the long run, would I rather point myself in and have Joey Logano as one of my competitors, or win at Las Vegas and have Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick, or Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Tyler Reddick as my competitors? I'd rather have Joey Logano. If you ask me right now, that 22 team, they did not even show the speed today. They won this race because they had a strategy call that they could use. They were running, they were running inside the top 10. They did very well today in stage 1, stage 2, but they fell off during the final stage. They were outside the top 10, and they pulled a strategy call off, and they were able to win this race with some help from a teammate. Do I believe I can go to Phoenix, and I've been the car that's been the best all playoffs, and it doesn't matter what the track is, I have the best average finish, I show speed, I've been to Phoenix multiple times in the championship race already. I can go there and I can win. Do I want Logano there? I'd probably say yes. Now, yes, that is a 2-time champion. By the way, this is Joey Logano's 6th time making the championship race. Do you know how crazy that is? This is 10 years, guys. 10 years of the championship race being in existence, and he's made it 6 times. That's incredible. That is an incredible rate. I know it's 4 drivers that make it, but for you to be in over half of them, that is very good. Basically, 50% of the time you are in the championship race. For Joey Logano, that is very, very good. And so, yeah, but I'm going off of speed. When you get to Phoenix, you have to think who is going to have the fastest car, who's going to have, because that usually is the guy that wins the championship, is the guy who has the fastest car. Not all the time, but most of the time. And for Christopher Bell, it just, in my opinion, yeah, you didn't win, and he looked really bummed out, but you're plus 42 to the good, man. You can finish top 15, honestly, in the next 2 races, and you'll be fine. You will be okay, and we expect you to not. Now, this obviously doesn't cover a DNF. If something bad, if a DNF happens, if a wreck happens, yes, I know that. You still want to, first things first, you want to get yourself into the Final 4. I get that. But it's really not the end of the world for Christopher Bell. He is in a very good situation. There will be one guy that points his way in, no matter what. So he's still in a very good situation. I would not be too stressed if I was him, and not be too disappointed. You know, you had a very good day today. Do not be too disappointed. Think about the end goal. The end goal is just making that championship race, and then it's a one race. You know, one race. Go for it in this modern day format. So Larson, the same thing. He had a struggle of a day, big mistake by the team crew, by the crew, but you know, he didn't have the fastest car today. He didn't really get any stage points. However, you had that massive buffer. You still have the massive buffer, plus 35. William Byron did a very good job today. Showed more speed than he has in a lot of the season. So again, the big key for him is just trying to point his way in, because I don't think Byron is going to have race-winning speed. So he just has to figure out a way to point his way in, and that makes it harder for him with obviously Logano winning. Logano winning is going to be controversial. It's going to be controversial. There's going to be a lot of complaints about it. I'm not complaining about it. I mean, there will be people that do. I mean, listen, it's a strategy call. I mean, it's part of racing, and you get to the round of 8, and you know, I just got to win one of these races. I made the final 8. Just win one of the races. I saw my driver, Jeff Gordon, do it in 2015. 2015, Jeff Gordon was awful. He was nothing like he was in 2014. I mean, Gordon was constantly running outside the top 10 or just barely in the top 10. And again, it was his final season, so I was watching every race, excited. And we had this high downforce, you know, garbage. It was like... that was the first year they put the tapered spacer on, was 2015. So they had lower horsepower with higher downforce, and the dirty air was a mess, and the 24 team sucked, and I was just pissed off every week. I was like falling asleep. I would have like Gordon's onboard on my laptop while I watched the race on like a TV or something, and I would be falling asleep watching Gordon's onboard because you couldn't pass, and he sucked every week. And you know, in the playoffs, he just kind of top 10s his way through the first 2 rounds. He wins at Martinsville, and he's able to make the championship race, right? It was like, okay, in 2014, he's the best car, best team, should have made the championship race, should have won the championship at Homestead, doesn't even make the championship race. 2015, guy is garbage. Wins at Martinsville, last career win, gets the championship race. It's like, you know, sometimes that's just how it goes. Like, was I angry when Jeff Gordon did that back in 2015? No, I was not angry. I was ecstatic. So, like, if you are a Joey Logano fan, you should be very ecstatic. And listen, that's how it is. You can be subpar. You could be running in the 20s during the spring, and you could be outside the top 13 in points for the majority of the season and be absolutely awful all season. But if you just find some consistency like Alex Bowman was doing until he got disqualified, and then you make the round of 8 and you just find a way to win a race, one of the 3, just win one of them, there you go. That is how you do it. And there sometimes is no explanation, no logic to it. That is just how the format is. This is what NASCAR wants. If this is what you want as a fan, that is for you to decide. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you should want. That is for you to decide. So this is just how the game is. Obviously, there is a game to be played. There's a certain way to have to do it. Denny Hamlin, you know, he struggles in this. Joey Logano, he's made it 6 times, and he's won 2 championships in this format. So he probably likes it. You know, like, this is just how it goes. And that is what it is. And next week will be Homestead. Again, I'm expecting the same guys to be fast. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick. This is their bread and butter, running the high line by the wall. And we'll see how it goes there. It's going to really be about, can we get a surprise? Can Chase Elliott? Can Ryan Blaney? Can, you know, I was expecting Denny Hamlin to have a faster car today, but can Denny Hamlin bring back a, you know, who has not had a lot of speed in this playoff run? Can he find some speed at Homestead? Will there be a surprise winner at Homestead? Will it go to plan, and will it be one of the favorites that wins? What is going to happen heading into Martinsville? It is very interesting, very, very interesting, and Joey Logano is just shaking everything up. Take care of yourselves. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new, and comment down below with your thoughts on everything. I will see you guys tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Comment down below, and congratulations, Joey Logano, on making the championship race. He's going to Phoenix. Let's see if he can keep the even year prophecy alive. Take care of yourselves. Peace out.